What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka Unique Mazique. I am the hardest working man in sports and gaming. And I say this to y'all sometimes, but I mean it even more today. I mean it. I am the hardest working man in sports and gaming. I'm talking about, I'm gonna try to tell you, I'm trying to find the lever on my seat. That's how hard working I am. That didn't work out. Don't worry about it. We're gonna stay where we are. Let me see if we can. There we go. Is that better? It's probably not, but it doesn't matter. Let me tell y'all something. I wrote 10 articles today. 10. You understand me? 10. And I fail them. But I'm thankful. I'm blessed that I have a platform for which to share. So 10 articles and a stream is what's happening in a less than a 24-hour period for me. Less than 12-hour period, to be honest. So it's about to get crazy. I don't know I don't know if you guys can. Oh, let me mute myself here. We can't have that because we don't want the double talk here. But I hope everybody is cool. Actually, yeah, you have to change that to public. I might be able to do it. Oh, it's right here. I got it. Yeah. Might have hurt something with that, but yeah. So had a few technical difficulties here on the back end. Hopefully, we'll start to see people fill in a little bit now. I had this actually listed. I had it unlisted for a minute because I set the stream up, kind of everything I wanted to do. Kind of set it up yesterday, but now I was actually ready to go live with it. So I'm gonna try to give people a little bit of time to hopefully come in and see what happens. I'm watching the amount of people in here first. So probably want to start maybe when we're around maybe 10 people. I appreciate Marcus Moore being in here, taking a look at the stream early. He was in here before we even got started. So that's very dope. And I'm looking at this. I'm not, what, y'all, I'm not actually sure. I might actually need to start this stream over again because I'm not sure whether or not the notifications are going out. Because I started the stream originally unlisted. So, and I think that just might be the first time I've ever done it. So I'm not sure, but it looks like it might be kind of popping in now. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and let's get started. We're going to start off. We got a few different games to cover today. So talking about NBA 2K, ESBC, of course, WWE 2K, and a little bit of Madden. And we actually going to talk about some more wrestling games or another wrestling game this in addition to WWE 2K. So, like I said, a good amount of ground to cover when it comes to this whole thing. So, let's start off talking about MyNBA. You know what? I'm gonna pause because I really am wondering if people are getting this notification because the number is much lower than it normally is. Can anybody who's coming in, what's going on, Sheen? What's going on, Travell? Can y'all tell me in the chat, did you get a notification for this stream to go when you got one, did you get a notification like you normally get when you see me go live, or how'd you happen to find out? Because I started the stream a little bit differently and I want to make sure that people are going to get it. Oh, Travell said 2K gonna flop. 2K22. I don't know which 2K22 you're talking about. You could be talking about either one where we are lately. Nope, Sheem got it on Twitter. Yeah, Mr. Unstoppable said he got nothing. Nah, that ain't gonna do it. I would probably need to restart it. No, but it's I don't know. It seems like it's picking up. So we're gonna go ahead and go with it. All right, so let's talk. Let's start off talking about MyNBA. We still have not seen this information for NBA 2K22. It has to be coming this week. There's no other way. There's no other way that this could be working. I mean, look, we're talking about the city, the neighborhood, my career, and my NBA all has to be fit in. Now, where we are right now is September 7th. The game comes out on September 10th. So we literally have like 72 hours before this game is available. And I'm sure you guys, if you've been on social media, leaks are popping up everywhere. I'm not a big leak person, to be totally honest. I really don't like them. If you've been following me on Twitter, you see. I'm just the type of person, I like things to go, the process to go the way they're supposed to go, right? So if you bring out a game and the game's not good, we don't have any false representation of it. There's nobody with leak footage shooting it off their screen, or maybe, whatever patch you meant for us to get initially, it's not in there. None of that. Then you got people doing fake leaks and they really playing 2K21 trying to get, it's just not a lot of stuff going on. And I would prefer, let me see what 2K is designing us or wants people to see, and then let's make the judgment off of that. But 2K has literally waited until 72 hours before the game comes out to show the most played mode on the game, which is My Career in My Park. So it's just a lot of bad going on everywhere, right? So it's just a lot of bad going on everywhere. What's going on, Rail? What's going on, Dre Johnson? I appreciate y'all coming through. It's just a lot of bad going on. So of course, y'all know me. I love my NBA. I love the franchise mode. So my man, the infamous New York, he put together this. This wish list of sorts, right? And he talked about I've done a lot of wish lists, y'all. I've done a lot of them. And I got to tell you, this one that he did might be the most in-depth one I've ever seen in my life, right? So he called it, and he did this back in March, right? So he said, how to turn my NBA into a true next-gen experience. Now, some of the stuff here, I would say most of the stuff here I agree with. Some of it I'm like, okay, I don't think that may not be practical, but I'm gonna go over some of this stuff with y'all, or most of it, and I'm just gonna talk about it and I definitely want you guys in the chat to kind of say what you think or what have you, if you think this stuff because if you're not up on the infamous New York, he is a really bright, sharp, idea-driven kind of a mode designer, so to speak, who doesn't actually have the title, isn't working with 2K, but there's no doubt or no questions the concepts and the ideas that he has, especially around creation, are definitely really solid ones, right? So start at the top. He says cross-platform rosters, draft classes, and scenarios give users the opportunity to play content made by the community regardless of what platform they play on. I think that one's pretty basic and simple. If you look at the show already has that. They already have cross-platform play this year, and you also have cross-platform sharing for the rosters, logos, and everything that people create. So we already have a game that's literally doing it. So it's got to be possible, right? Next, we got to improve the free agency logic. There should be a lower chance of superstars signing with small market teams in free agency. Older players should agree to minimum deals in free agency more than likely, especially if the team was a contender the previous year. Okay, so that I definitely agree about the improving the free agency logic. But one of the things that I think is that each player should have an identity, right? So they should have what you call like a free agent DNA. And their DNA, of course, when you start the game up, LeBron has whatever free agent DNA he has, and all these different players have a free agent DNA. But what would make it really dope is if that free agent DNA can be altered. So the algorithm that decides whether or not where they're going to go is kind of altered by what's happening in your MyNBA, right? So maybe you have a guy who, at the beginning of your MyNBA experience, they were all about the money. They just wanted big contracts. That's all they wanted. But they've had all these big contracts and they've played on these teams and they haven't won. So now they're in a position, they're later in their career. Now they want to ring. And now you have people who evolve from being superstars looking for big contracts into people who are just now ring chasers, right? Because that's the real NBA. This is what we see: LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin, all these different people, Paul Millsap signing with winning teams, literally turning down more money elsewhere. Paul Millsap got offered more money from the Bulls, and he chose to play with the Brooklyn Nets for obvious reasons. So that needs to be in there with free agency logic. You also need to have certain people who, the way they're built mentally, they prefer a smaller market. They prefer not to play in a big city. They prefer to play closer to home. But all of that is individual to the person. And that's why sometimes you can find a perfect free agent. Say you're Oklahoma City, and for whatever reason, you luck up through your draft process where the draft class produces a dude who went to Oklahoma, who is a hometown guy. He's an insane talent, and he just wants to stay close to home. Well, that right there gives Oklahoma City an opportunity to sign a dude who they probably would not otherwise have an option to get. That's real life kind of concepts with free agency. It's rare, but you need that whole dynamic. If all of that's working together, your free agency logic is right. So I think we agree mostly. I would probably just add a few little things here. He next says fix in-game injuries. They don't exist. No complaints. Junior and I literally played hundreds of games of UMBA, and like we saw two people get hurt. And when they got hurt, it wasn't even bad enough for them to actually miss games. Like the dude limped like twice and then hit 5 greens in a row. It was just embarrassing. And to me, one thing I will say, I've talked to 2K about the injuries before. And sometimes I talk to people and I'm going to tell you, they act like they don't know that the injuries are not working. I'm like, bro, y'all got to know that the injuries are not working in the mode. Like, come on. So I feel like a little bit more of acceptance. Like, yes, this part of our game has not been working. We got to fix it. I would appreciate that, because at this point, the only time you see injuries is in simulations. So you simulate a game and it pops on the screen and says so-and-so sprained their toe, out for whatever amount of time. Okay, I'm not saying get rid of that, because that can happen too. But people get hurt in game, and we need to have that as a part of it. And of course, we're talking about MyNBA now. So I don't even necessarily think you need to have any side of injuries in online play against people unless it's an online MyNBA. But outside of that, that's it. He says overall boost for players throughout season should be toned down, especially for those that barely get minutes. We kind of differ in opinion here. I kind of think that, yes, getting more minutes should get you. Obviously, that's how you get better. But 2K introduced this really cool thing, a mentor system, where you have a player of a similar play style who's a veteran, and their job is to mentor a younger player. Maybe that younger player is not getting a lot of minutes yet, but that mentor situation you have going on with that player can this. Or maybe you have somebody working an off-season program, and that's how they're getting better. And so I think that it should, I don't know if necessarily we need to turn down the overall boost throughout the seasons, but it should be a little bit more rhyme and reason to the way that it happens. Improve the logic of trades. The majority of the CPU trades are just them doing a trade just to do a trade. I don't think it's them doing a trade just to do a trade. What I think it is the system is so bent on overall ratings, right? And so it's like, okay, well, he's a 90 overall and they're a 90 overall. That's the trade. Let's do it. But there's not enough recognition of, okay, this team already has a point guard. You got Ja Morant. There would be no reason at all for you to go and acquire, I don't know, Kemba Walker. There's no reason at all for you to go and acquire Terry Rozier. Well, Terry Rozier kind of plays two guards sometimes, but you get what I'm saying. They're matching overalls, but not looking at the depth chart, not looking at things like, oh, well, this is a younger point guard. You don't bring in this guy for this. You have to keep that kind of stuff all in check. So and I'm not trying to make it sound like any of this is easy. This is deep stuff that takes a lot of tweaks, turns, and bending to work. So I'm not looking at the chat right now. So if you guys are talking, I'm on this other screen so that I can kind of go through this with y'all. But yeah, I think it's really fascinating stuff. So I should check back in with you guys every once in a while though. But yeah, I think this is really pretty deep. Travell says 2K doesn't care about that contract. All they care for is NBA 2K. I'm not sure what that means. Sure, if I hadn't known that 2K20 was that bad, I would not. Okay, y'all hating 2K20 right now. I got you. I'm with you. I see you. Well, I'm not totally with you. I didn't hate it, but I understand. All right, so it says add dynamic player tendencies. Dynamic player tendencies should change organically throughout a career. For example, a big like Brook Lopez came into the league as a post-up player, but by year 9 in his NBA career, he started to shoot threes, and those shot attempts increased each year after. Aging players should see a decrease in their dunking tendency and an increase in their layup tendency as they get into their mid-30s, unless you're LeBron. I would love to see some cool random dynamic tendencies throughout my simulations. Imagine what year 10 Ben Simmons three-point tendencies could be. I completely agree. I have said this before, but not quite as in depth as the infamous says it here. This does not happen in 2K. I don't actually think it happens in any sports game where nobody has quite figured out how to create an aging, evolving, and then descending sort of a tendency base in sports video games. Just like he said, Brook Lopez came in as a low post shooter. He evolved into a 3-and-D guy. Maybe not a 3-and-D guy, a stretch big. Maybe he did that because he played for a team where that's the role that they needed him to play. Maybe he did it because he decided he didn't want to bang down low because it would extend his career. Maybe you're a point guard like Derrick Rose and you have an injury that forces you to play differently than you used to play before. That's what needs to happen. There needs to be event-based tendency changes, right? So is the event so you have to mark and decide what are the events. So aging is an event, injury is an event, a trade to a different sort of a scheme is an event. A free agent acquisition that pushes you or changes your position is an event. And then every time a player experiences one of these kinds of events in their careers, it then goes back into the system and spits out a new tendency base that is based off of whatever is going on in their career. I think that is it. That's heavy. That's heavy, but it is definitely something that would be a great addition to MyNBA. That's something that you should see across all sports video games, but I acknowledge that that's not an easy task at all. He says, give coaches a numbered-based attribute system that includes an overall similar to the players. Let a coach with a good overall really make a difference if hired by a team. I like the concept of the overalls, but what I like more is the actual perks being a little bit more specific. I'd like it to function, and we're going to talk about home court advantage. I'm not sure if he puts that in here, but home court advantage is something I really think should be in there. It's not really officially in, but there are coaches who are fantastic at executing out of bounds plays or plays outside of timeouts. They're known for this. They're, they excel at this part. So if you have a coach like that, when you call a timeout, the first 2 or 3 plays out of a timeout, everybody's attributes are raised on one or both sides of the floor. That sort of thing. Some coaches are great at halftime adjustments. Well, if you have that coach, the first 6 minutes of the third quarter, your players will have a boost in attributes because you have a coach who is excellent at halftime adjustments. That's the kind of thing I think that you have a coach that really matters to the way you perform. You have some coaches who get the best out of their players in the fourth quarter when it's late and close. So now you get a combination of a clutch player with a coach who is great at X's and O's. And now we're seeing maximized performances from the players, which is how this all works. So I definitely agree with him conceptually. I think I would probably do it a little bit differently than he's saying, but I agree with that. It says add offensive and defensive tendencies for coaches, and depending on the overall of the coach, these coaching tendencies could impact player tendencies. Someone who plays under Mike D'Antoni should increase in their three-point tendencies. This is very similar to what I was talking about before with event-based stuff. So you get traded to a team, you play for a team with a different type of scheme, and it impacts your tendencies. He said add female coaching staff options. That's pretty obvious. Becky Hammon is an assistant coach for the Spurs, so it only makes sense that they should have female head coaches. It's not like they're creating something that doesn't exist. Improve the auto-generated draft class attributes and tendencies. I don't have too much of a problem with them as they are. You can also edit them, so it's not that big a deal for me. It says, let us get a preview of who we could potentially draft by adding playable workouts with solo shoot-arounds, one-on-ones, 5-on-5s. I definitely agree with that. That would make the drafting players and all that kind of stuff so much better. It says, revamp the draft day presentation and give us a more exciting experience. Similar to how it is in my career a few games back, they let us see the lottery picks at least walk on stage and shake Adam Silver's hand. I'm going to be honest, I don't really care that much about that. I think their draft is better than the NFL and Madden's draft already. It's okay. I mean, it'd be cool. This is definitely a nice to have and not a need to have. So I encourage you guys. I'm going to probably put the link to this. I'm going to put the link to this in the description. I don't want to go through the whole thing because it's super long, but it is really good. If you are a MyNBA head like me, you definitely will probably dig that. I'm gonna put that link in there. So if you're interested in going through that whole thing, definitely do. But it's got some depth to it for sure. I may actually do a separate video where I just really dive deep into that thing because it's really pretty dope. All right, let's talk about the next thing. Well, let me stop sharing my screen. We don't need to continue to share. All right, the new badges in NBA 2K22. I want to know what you guys think. Thumbs up or thumbs down on these new badges. The first badge, if I can look at it, I think there's like 10 of them. Thank you. I appreciate you very much, Mike. No prelude is definitely trouble. You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I ain't even got to have a prelude if they just simply said a little more about what is going on here. I think everybody would be a lot happier, but nobody knows. Like, people so mad that they don't know what's going on. Like, people getting mad at each other because they don't know what's going on. They're like, ain't nothing come out. I wish something came out. I wish something came out too. We mad at each other about it. It's like, I'm like, it's just a lot going on. And it's just, people really love this game, man. And no matter how much they talk about it, they really love this game. And when it doesn't go the way they want it to go, people get real tense. And I think that's what we're really seeing. But let's look at these badges. And I want you guys to tell me, we're going to talk thumbs up or thumbs down on these badges. And I'll give you my take on them too. I wrote an article about this one. So the first one is fast twitch. And I didn't think about this probably as long as I could have, but I was trying to think of the player who best relates or would have this particular skill. So fast twitch is ability to get off the floor quicker for standing layups and dunks. The first person that popped in my head was Mitchell Robinson for the Knicks. When you talk about bigs who are just literally a half a step or anything away from a dunk at all times whenever they grab the ball, he is the one who really comes to my mind. And so that's that one. You say thumbs up. Woke Youngin says thumbs up. In space says D Rose. D Rose makes sense if you say fast twitch, but they saying the ability to get off the floor quicker for standing layups and dunks. That's not a guard. Definitely Zion. I can see that, but it's not a guard. FMG Reed says it's pointless. I actually would be interested in why you say it's pointless. I want to hear what your take is on that. But fast switch, I don't have a problem with. I would say it's a thumbs up. We'll see. Grace under pressure, ability to convert standing layups more effectively. I'm gonna tell y'all something. This one for me is a thumbs down, and I'm gonna tell y'all why this one is a thumbs. Rashawn Holmes is a good one, Mike. I'm gonna tell you why this one is a thumbs down to me. To me, grace under pressure is them trying to put a badge on something because people blow so many layups and get so enraged So it's like we're gonna give somebody a badge to keep them from blowing layups. And because people get so upset when when you can't make a layup, and because they just get pissed. So I feel like that's what that badge is. For me, that's a thumbs down. I think you either roll with it the way it is with the layups, or you just essentially make it easier to make the layups and make fewer of them miss. But the problem is the reason why they have to make layups and defense around the basket like that is because it's too easy to get in the lane, right? It's too easy to get in the lane, and they don't know, and they haven't figured out how to create without making the game super sticky and have some flow to it. They have not figured out how to allow the ball handler to dribble around and for you to be able to defend the lane as much as you need to, so that getting close to the basket for a layup style shot isn't as easy as it is. It's too easy. So now they have to make it where if you're anywhere in close proximity trying to defend this, then it makes making a layup or a shot really close to the basket with somebody by you, it makes you miss it a lot more. So I think and this is Grace Under Pressure to me sounds like they're just trying to fill that gap. Limitless takeoff, ability to soar from further away on drive and dunk attempts. I got Zach LaVine. Limitless takeoff. I want to see how limitless it is. I'm a little nervous. Whenever they start talking about limitless, that gets me really nervous because I don't want to see nobody taking off from the top of the key. Talking about I got limitless takeoff, bro. No, man. No, I don't. I'm gonna put thumbs sideways on that one because I'm not sure if they went a little too far with that. We'll see. Mouse in the house. Ability for bigs to finish over shorter players more efficiently. I really like that one. Thumbs up for sure. I think too often I feel like you cannot take advantage of mismatches. That too often, and I'm not even just talking about bigs on smalls. I'm talking about small. I'm not even talking about bigs on smalls in the post. Even out top, and this wouldn't help this, but out top, there are times when you get a small guard, a small, quicker guard, and he has a big on him, and you should be able to call an isolation, clear out, take this person off the dribble 9.5 out of 10 times. And sometimes I feel like it's too easy for the big to guard him, and what ends up happening is the big size starts to equal speed because they take up more space. So I'm of the belief that 2K needs to make the court a little bit bigger. I think that would help, or make the players a little smaller. I think it would definitely help, but that's a whole nother thing. So, but Mouse and House overall, I like. Unstrippable, the ability to secure the ball better when gathering for a layup, dunk in traffic. I don't have a problem with it. It sounds like it might be slightly redundant to some of the other stuff that they've had before, but I don't have an overall problem with it. Chef, the ability to knock down Steph-like off-dribble deep threes. I'm sorry, I thought that was already in the game. I really did. This, I don't know. I think I read that they mixed this with something else, or they got rid of a couple badges and this one became that one. Okay, we'll see. Stuff like this, shooting badges, they start scaring me with 2K. They start doing weird stuff. Okay, so thumb is sideways on that one. Limitless spot up, the ability to hit logo range threes off of catch and shoot. You know what? I wouldn't have a problem with this if I didn't think it was going to be. If this was relegated only to the NBA style game and you couldn't have it in park and you couldn't have it in pro-am, I would like it. But the fact that everybody with a shooting build is pretty much going to end up having limitless spot up, the amount of people in the NBA who have limitless spot up abilities like Damian Lillard, we're talking a very small percentage. But what we see when we have this badge available for Park and Pro-Am, you end up with 3 or 4 people or 2 or 3 people on the court at one time with this same ability, which now makes it not like real basketball. And some people, not in Park, I don't care. And I don't mind because Park is not supposed to be like real basketball. It's not. So I don't have a problem with it. But in Pro-Am, that just not, I don't like that. I just personally don't like that. So I don't know about that. I like it if it was just in the NBA, but I don't like it in Park. I don't like it in Pro-Am. Lucky number 7, boost your ability to score when shooting early in the clock. I don't have a problem with that because it's for 7 seconds or less for if you play in that offense. So obviously James Harden is a guy who would fit in there. Steve Nash would fit in some place like that. People who have played in Mike D'Antoni's system and been successful, the lucky 7 seconds or less, got it. No problem. Thumbs up for that one. The mismatch expert. The ability to successfully shoot over taller defenders on a switch. Kyrie Irving might be the best best post-up guard in the NBA. Despite the fact that he's 6'2", he is adept at getting shots off, even if the defender's a little bit bigger than him. He's got that knack. As long as this is not given to too many people, or it's not too easy to get, I dig it. Definitely thumbs up. Glue hands, the ability to make difficult catches and quicker branch out to a shot or dribble. Here's one thing. Here's a problem I have. I don't think that the hands rating overall in 2K is clearly enough defined for whatever it is. I think the majority of the ratings are not clearly enough defined. Some of them are pretty self-explanatory, but I really think we have a strong need for a glossary up in here. I want a 2K glossary. So every last one of these ratings that you have, these attribute categories that you have, you need to tell me what each one of these things do. There's too much left to my own imagination, which I guess is why it's September 7th and we ain't seen a trailer for my city. So there it is. Hyperdrive, boost the speed and effectiveness of moving dribble moves. I like this because the reason why I like this is because not every player with foot speed has quick, shifty handle. And if this functions the way it sounds, then this gives a little bit of something to the people who are quick with the shake and quick with the wiggle and quick with the change of direction moves with dribbling. And when you come, and so what that does is it makes a player like Luka Doncic, who might not be super fast from a foot speed standpoint, but it makes them difficult to guard because of their ability to change directions with dribble moves and things like that. So I really like Hyperdrive. If it works the way it sounds, I give that one a thumbs up. Quick chain, boost the ability to quickly chain dribble moves together. I like it. No problem. I think it's also still a skill gap kind of a badge. So even though you might have it, you still, it's comboing essentially. So I don't have a problem with that. Post playmaker, boost the effectiveness of both shots and moves when playing in the post. I don't like the name of it, but it just sounds like it's post efficiency, because post playmaker sounds like you're passing, but that wasn't anywhere in the description. So I went with Embiid because it seemed like the right one. Triple threat juke increases the effectiveness of a triple threat fake, jab, and go moves. LeBron is fantastic in triple threat. There's several other players that are really good in triple threat. I like it. I don't have a problem with that at all. Triple threat is an essential aspect of, being an effective offensive player, especially an effective isolation or one-on-one offensive player. So I like anything that enhances that. All right, the defensive badges, there's only 3 of them. Ball stripper. That one just don't sound right. Anyway, a ball stripper. I don't know. Ability to strip, layup, and dunk attempts more effectively. I thought Matisse Thybulle, because he's just great. His hands are just great, just quick inside the pocket strips and stuff like that. But stripping layups and dunks. So is there really a thing where people are really excel at the fact that when you go up on your gather, their hands are quick enough and they take, is that really a thing enough for a badge? I wonder about that one. My hands, I'm a little sideways on that. Hustler, ability to get those scrappy 50-50 balls quicker than opponents. I love it. I love this one, and I thought about Faku immediately. Campazzo is one of the scrappiest little dudes in the league, and I love to see badges that fit specific role style players, right? So if I got a hustle dude on the floor, I want to be able to feel why this player is valuable. And putting in a badge like Hustler, I hope it works well. Really good. Thumbs up. Menace significantly drops the offensive ratings of opponents when you smother them. Sounds like some of the other defensive badges. In theory, of course, I love it. You know, anything that realistically enhances defense, I'm down with it. I say my thumbs up for that one. I don't know exactly what all it's going to do, how it's going to work exactly. That wasn't a really deep explanation that they offered us, but it's the best that they have. So I would say mostly is thumbs up, but we'll see. Designs RL says Harden is a ball stripper. That sounded like a joke, but I know you were serious. Harden the ball stripper. You know what else? I'm gonna be a stripper in here if I don't turn on this fan. I'm hot as I don't know what. And y'all don't want that. I promise you that. All right. Let's switch gears, and we are talking about, well, actually not switching gears yet. I got a theory about fixing the badges on NBA 2K22. And I am of the belief I see y'all in the chat. I am of the belief that shooting badges should have to be activated. Like, I don't think that you should show up at the beginning of a game unless it's park with your badges already at your shooting badges already activated. If you think about it, right? Most people, unless you have a specific badge that's like start hot early or something like that. No, I didn't. I said thank you, Mike. You didn't go unnoticed. I said thank you. I said thank you. I really appreciate you, Mike. I said that earlier. Oh, wait a minute. Did I miss it? Oh, it was another super chat. And see, I didn't have my eye on the thing. I definitely appreciate you, Mike. Love you like a play cousin, man. Don't you think of, don't you say that. Don't you say that. But yeah, I really like, unless you have a badge that says that you start, hot early. I think that you should have to make a couple plays, get a rebound, get a steal, whatever. And maybe you have a badge that says you activate your shooting badges quicker than others. Maybe one guy he needs 3 positive plays to activate his shooting badges. Maybe another guy needs 5 positive plays. Maybe you're Steph, you need 1 positive play. You just need to, get back on defense, and then whatever it is. But I don't think you should hit the floor with your shooting badges activated just off GP. I feel like it makes it exactly get in the rhythm first. Shooting is about that. It's about rhythm. And I mentioned this to 2K. I don't remember what year it was, but I know a lot of people would have an issue with that. But I'm gonna tell you something. I am not concerned with the people who have issues about these games, who want things that are not based in the sport that the game is supposed to be in. If you are playing a basketball game and you want somebody to strap a jetpack to your back, and so you can fly into the rafters, get a small robin from the ceiling, and then fly down to the basket and lay it up with your left toe, I'm not even worried about if you don't like it or not. I'm not worried about it, because we're not playing the same game. I play NBA 2K, and so I would like something that is basketball. So the fact of the matter is, most people need to get in some level of a rhythm to get their shooting, whatever their shooting prowess is. They got to get hot. Now, once they get hot, now you got a problem. But that's the way I see that. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on that, but I did want to share that. All right, let's go. I've been looking forward to talking about this. Let me get my notes. We're going to talk about ESBC. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. It's gonna be woo. I got to talk about it. I have learned there are some major additions coming to this game, to this roster. Now, I know it's a lot of people that have already been added. There's some big names we've already seen. But I have learned that there are some serious names still yet to be added. And I'm talking, don't put any limitations on what you think, because this game has really evolved from where it was. It's still being done by a small studio. It is. But the buy-in with this game and the assistance that's happening, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I do not believe that this game is going to be released and published by the people who originally, and I'm not implying that they're selling or anything like that, and the idea is going to be bought out by somebody else. But if you see what's been happening, look around at what's happening with EA and 2K and those different companies. You see EA bought Metalhead Studio, and so now Super Mega Baseball will come out through there. Saber Interactive was not a part of 2K at one time, but they brought them in for NBA 2K Battlegrounds and WWE 2K Battlegrounds. Man, these publishers are seeing, I'm telling you, I'm seeing this. These publishers are seeing what's happening with ESBC, and they are coming at it, and they're coming with it. I'm telling you guys. And I am of the belief that ESBC Boxing's title is going to have like a little bit of a change to it. It's still going to be everything we've been seeing, but I'm just having a feeling that this is going to happen, man. And in conjunction, or even before this happens, I believe I'm 100% sure pretty much that it's going to still be ESBC Boxing unless something happens. But I think that some other branding is probably going to be a part of this. And there are some major additions that are still coming to this roster. You guys keep your eyes open. I'm telling you, you don't have to believe me if you don't want to. I think my track record is showing up pretty well lately. So I'm telling you, look out, because it's going to get even more serious than it is already. And so I'm looking at some other updates and things that I think are going to be coming in terms of trailers and that sort of thing. But it is going to be a serious boxing game. That whole way that it started is like this little engine that could kind of a title, and we just hope it's got a little bit, and we're all prepared to look at it like the maximum football of boxing. Nah, it ain't gonna be the maximum football of boxing. It ain't gonna be the maximum football. I'm telling y'all right now, it ain't gonna be the maximum football of boxing. It's gonna be a true, real boxing title, and there's some affiliations, I believe, that are going on that are going to ensure that it's on that level. So I'm excited about what it might be. So I'm really looking forward to it. So let's stay with that though. ESBC, one thing that I've been recognizing from talking to people, one of the biggest reasons why this roster is still growing is really based on other fighters, right? So I don't know how many of y'all know, fighters have huge egos, huge egos. They do not want to be left out. They don't want to be, if everybody else is in this game, it starts to get to a point where it's kind of like when the roster is getting so big, it's like if you are really a serious star, if you're really this, then you should be a part of this game, because look, this person is, this person is, this person is, this person is. And a lot of the fighters, and I'm telling you this, I know this for a fact, there are fighters that are literally going to their managers and they're telling their managers, I want to be in this game. Get me in the game. Call whoever you have to call. Get me in the game. And I'm not telling you something that I think when I say that. I'm telling you that I know for a fact is happening. Now, one thing that is also happening, I think that there is a misunderstanding sometimes with some of the managers, because most of the managers in most of the managers in boxing, they're not gaming people, obviously, right? They're used to doing business the way they do business in boxing, and that's a certain sort of way. But the gaming aspect is a different beast. And because there hasn't been a lot of boxing games released over the last 10 years and almost none with licensing agreements, that boxing managers simply just don't have the experience dealing with gaming companies about the licenses. So there's a lot of trepidation. There's a lot of stuff going on with that. And I think that that is causing a little bit of a thing. But as you can see, as the roster continues to grow, those walls are being knocked down. And that's part of the reason. I actually know one aspect of it, but part of the reason that you're going to see this roster continue to grow. I'm trying to tell y'all, it's, if you're a boxing fan, it's going to get your attention if it hasn't already gotten your attention. So now my last point on ESBC, the release date. That's one of the biggest questions that a lot of people are asking. When is this game going to be released? At one point, I thought it would be earlier in 2022. But now I'm starting to feel, based off of conversations that I'm having, that we're probably looking something more towards the summer of 2022. A lot of that has to do with the fact that if Steel City does link up with a major publisher, right, whoever that is, publishers of that nature, they don't like rushed deliveries, rushed releases. They want time to hype a game. They want time to do their different media events. They want time to run trailers. They want to make sure that there is a maximum amount of exposure for their title. And also, from a financial support standpoint, Steel City started off as a very small studio, but I know for a fact the studio has grown exponentially over the time period that this game has been developed. And a lot of it has been because of these increased investments that are coming from all of these people who are loving what is happening. So if they do link with a publisher, which is what I believe strongly is probably going to happen, you can expect at that point is when you'll probably see your concrete release date or release a month. And you can expect it to be a little bit of a ways out, because they're going to want time to hype this game up. So I'm thinking somewhere around Cinco de Mayo, because we all know how humongous of a holiday that is, especially for boxing. For years, we always knew we would get a Floyd fight, or we're going to see the greatest Mexican fighter in the world at that particular time is more than likely going to fight that weekend. So it is a huge day for the sport of boxing and a huge time. And it would not shock me in one bit if that's a time period that ESBC takes advantage of, especially if there's a huge fight around that time. We'll see what happens with Canelo. Obviously, we already know he's in the game. So it just makes a lot of sense. It makes a ton of sense. So keep your eyes open for that right there. All right. I appreciate everybody who was patient and waiting for me to get to WWE 2K. Always got to talk about it. And we're also going to talk about another wrestling game. But I'm going to start it off talking about what I strongly believe, and I have a good reason to believe this, what I think are going to be the 6 biggest selling points. Now, I think I'm leaving one out, but I'm leaving it out on purpose because I don't feel confident enough to predict. Woke young and said, finally, I don't feel confident enough to say that it is a prediction. But so I'm gonna leave that one out for now. I can always go back and add that if I want to. So I'm going to talk about what I think is going to be the top selling points. Now, I'm going to put some stuff on the screen here, y'all. And I know if I know people are going to try to take one of these joints and spin it and make it a thumbnail. They're going to try to use it. So I tried to protect it as much as I could, because these are things that I know people are going to do. But anyway, All right. So the first thing, and I think this is going to be pretty obvious to most people, is next gen visuals. And you see, I have this predictions, not official, because it is not official, but this is just what I believe is going to be the six biggest selling points. This game is, there is no way I can imagine this game is going to release and it's not going to be on next gen. I think some of the visuals that we've seen already would denote that it looks like it probably is going to be on next gen. We haven't got a really close enough look at it, but I've seen some stuff that makes me believe that. And also, I told you the biggest reason is this. The last game came out in 2019, y'all. And the next one's not coming out until 2022. I mean, you know, it's coming out in 2022, y'all. I mean, we talking about 2.5 years, and the last version wasn't very good. The next gen consoles came out in the fall of 2020. So now we're talking about next gen consoles almost out 2 years, and you've been almost out 2.5 years since your last iteration, and the one that you bring out is not going to have next gen capabilities. There's just no way. You cannot sell that to your consumers. And based off of conversations that I've had with all different kinds of people, this game is going to be on next gen. You can bet on it. So next gen visuals are going to be one of the biggest selling points. My next one is a rebuilt gameplay engine. This I 100% know is the fact. This is the case. The rebuilt gameplay engine is going to be based on simplifying certain concepts, certain aspects of gameplay. This is what you can bet on. They have heard everybody talking about the old Aki games and how the gameplay for those games were just so much better, and they made sense. They had a simplistic value to them, but on the other hand, there was still strategy, and there was still some level of I almost want to say a skill gap there, but it was, most importantly, it was a fun mechanic. So from my understanding, every single component that has gone into the gameplay for WWE 2K22, that has been the objective. Is this overcomplicated? Is there some way to be better at this particular part of the game than another person based on your skill and your understanding? And then most importantly, is it fun to execute? Because you don't want to have any aspect of a game that's just not fun. I can make a strong argument that much of a submission system just was not fun. And you don't want to have any part of your game that is admittedly not fun. And so that's what you don't want. So I'm telling you, things like kicking out of a pin. What is, when you want to kick out of a pin, as long as we've been playing video games, how do most people want to kick out of a pin? I just believe that up, down, left, right, swing it to the right to kick out of a pin is just ridiculous. Anything more than simply tapping the buttons to get up is probably doing too much. It's just kicking out of a pin. Now, obviously, the more hurt you are, the more resistance you get on that, the whole nine. But we don't need an insanely difficult kick out system. It just doesn't make any sense. So I would be surprised if those aspects of the game had not been made more simple. The next one, and I know this is a big one for everybody, GM mode. I think, I'm telling you guys now, I'm about as positive as can be that this one is definitely in. Now, I'm pointing at the camera, and I got some screen up so you can't see me, but trust me, I'm pointing at the camera. I am not positive. I am starting to believe that it's not going to be called GM mode. And let me explain to you why. I actually just wrote an article about this on Forbes tonight. It was number 10 of the 10 articles I wrote today. But 2K has always been big on branding. Always. and they like to stay fairly consistent with their branding. If you recall, I believe GM Mode, the last time it was actually in a wrestling game was like SmackDown versus Raw 2009 or something a long time ago. Okay. When that was the case, WWE games weren't even made by 2K. So if you think about it, would 2K really want to bring a mode in and call it what a previous company, what THQ used to call the same kind of mode in their game? That might not sound like a big deal to you, but businesses and people who with degrees in branding and marketing and those sorts of things, they consider those things bad ideas. You don't do that. You stay on brand. And what is and Dre Johnson's already on the right track in the chat. What is the common thing that you see with WWE modes? I mean, I should say, what I should say is 2K modes. You see a my at the beginning of all of them. So I would not be shocked, and I'm actually starting to think this could be the case, that we're looking at something like my promotion, my brand, something along that, something wrestling centric, but my 2K is not going to go off brand, man. That's just something that they generally are not going to do. Y'all give me some love for these graphics. I made these graphics myself. I know they ain't all that great. I said my faction. I did say that. My GM probably wouldn't be, because that belongs to NBA 2K franchise. So you probably wouldn't want to mix that up. My GM is a possibility though, but my promotion, my brand, something to that effect, my universe, my something is more likely than GM mode in my opinion. My bookie, they probably won't do that because there's actually a gambling outfit called MyBookie. There's a website called MyBookie. Don't go to it if you have a gambling problem. Call 1-800 I have a gambling problem. Now that but I'm just trying to tell you that already is a thing. So it ain't gonna be MyBookie. And you got to think about it. That just, can you imagine? Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate you. Can you imagine somebody's mama walking in the door while they 5-year-old is playing MyBookie? Or they 10-year-old playing boy, what you playing? I'm playing MyBookie. You playing my what? You, Lord Jesus, cast that devil out. You ain't gonna have no gambling spirit in here. I could just see it in right now. No MyBookie. We can't do MyBookie. Yeah, we can't. You don't want to do it. You know, you can't do it. You cannot have MyBookie. All right, next. This is my favorite. I ain't gonna lie to you. This is my favorite. Get ready. Get your socks on. Get your socks on. Get your hat together. Take your hat off. Do something. Check this out. My faction collector mode. And yes, I made that freaking card. I made that card. And so y'all gonna have to listen to me explain this. So of course, my faction would be based on, here's the thing. I don't know if it's gonna be called my faction, but I'm just about promise you guys there's a collector mode coming to WWE 2K. And I'm going to explain a lot of the reasons why I think that's happening. But I'm going to talk about the fun part first, right? So I designed this card. This is completely conceptual. The card and the functionality of it, the whole nine, is completely conceptual. But thank you, Prince. I appreciate you, sir. Look in the lower left corner of the card, that symbol is the symbol for platinum. I learned that like 2 days ago, so don't worry about it. So that's me creating like a gym level, which all the collector modes would have to have. The rating in the upper right corner is the rating of the card. It's a 99 overall. So I'd say something like platinum cards have to be rated between a 95 or a 99. This is a WrestleMania 19 version of The Rock. If you got some WWE history in you, you know why that was super important. That's the first time he beat Stone Cold. So he kept losing to Stone Cold, couldn't get past Stone Cold, whole nine. So if you look at the way his name is here on the screen, it's on top of a fingerprint. Now I'm totally created this, so I'm not getting this from someplace, but I would call this something like the fingerprint series. So why is this a fingerprint series? Because It is the series, it is the match or the moment where this particular wrestler made their fingerprint or left their fingerprint on the wrestling industry. This was arguably the biggest match, the biggest moment of The Rock's career. And that's why you could make that the argument that this is him in his prime. That's why it is a 99 overall. So now just imagine this. We got the fingerprint series. So we got Shawn Michaels in the ladder match with Razor Ramon. We got Hulk Hogan fingerprint series, body slamming Andre the Giant at WrestleMania. We got Edge's WrestleMania moment. All of these different, maybe you only have like 8 of them, right, for this first year. And so one of the reasons that it's about history. And that's a dope thing anytime you love something like this. Oh my God, come on, man. Like, there's so many different cards, different versions. And then, of course, you put them in the attire that they wore for that particular match. Now, the reason why a lot of people don't want a collector mode is because they automatically think that it means that you're going to get gouged with microtransactions. But I'm telling you, if you have played MLB The Show Diamond Dynasty, I'm telling you there is a way to do this without making it a money grab like that. Now, will you be able to buy packs? Absolutely. Will you be able to do that? 100%. You will be able to. But the key is not making it necessary or not building it in a way where you're at this extreme disadvantage unless you pay. And that is what that's what MLB The Show has done expertly with Diamond Dynasty. And I'm going to tell you, MLB The Show is having its most successful year from a financial standpoint this year. And you are right, LBD. 2K is known for the microtransactions, but here's the reason why I have some hope. And I'm not telling you that this mode would be without microtransactions, because I don't think that's even a smart business move. You have to put some microtransactions in as a business. Too many people have proven to pay a lot of money into this stuff. So as a business, if I was running a business, I'd have microtransactions in it. I wouldn't make it where you can't play it without it. But if you want to spend $9.99 on some VC, I'm not going to stop you. I'm going to give you an option to do it. The problem is when you make it where unless you pay $9.99, you can't compete. That's when it becomes a problem. That's when it's a bad thing. So there's a way to do this. And the reason why I have some hope about them being able to do this way is 2K20 was horrible, y'all. It was horrible. And they know it was horrible. They know that they have to really come to their consumer and deliver. So I would hope that you would not come out with a mode that was littered with microtransactions the first year after you just dropped. The first year you actually finally came back after 2K20 was that bad. Like, I would just hope that you would have enough decency not to bring it in that way. I could be wrong about that, but I am not wrong about the fact that this collector mode is coming. It's coming one way or the other. I'm hoping they do it in a decent way, but I believe it's coming. I'm really pretty positive that it's coming. So my next thing, and I think people will like this, an expanded creation suite. So because we're talking about on next gen consoles, which I think is a big deal, I'm thinking that perhaps you get more creative wrestler slots, and I have something I'm going to talk about that in a second. But we're talking about expanded arena creation as well, and just some other overall creation aspects. Creative story could be. I think they could get away without dropping creative story right now. I really do think they could get away without putting that in. That is such a huge undertaking to make that work properly. I don't even if the if the code is not completely cracked on that concept, I would prefer they just hold that one out. Just hold it out, because you can make a really solid wrestling game without putting that in year one. And if it's not tight, they do not have to they can hold that out. Don't force that in if it is not 100% together, because for the most part, it was really only for a very small piece of the WWE 2K community who were into putting in that much time to craft a story. And if I'm telling you, if it's not locked in 100%, I wouldn't even bother. So we'll see, but I'm telling you, going to be an expanded creation suite. And my last slide here is an expanded my career. Now, you notice I have two different versions of her, and somebody created these. These are really dope. I got them offline. I couldn't tell who created them, but they did a really good job. The creation suite for WWE 2K is the best there is anyway. Even with the flaws, it's still the best that there is. But I'm expecting a my career journey that allows you, you know, how we see wrestlers go through different eras and different time periods. We got the American Badass Undertaker. You got the Dead Man. You have all these different versions of Undertaker as he's going through his career. I'm expecting something like that to be a part of my career. I'm expecting perhaps dual my career experience with others. So we'll see what happens with that. Marcus, you're saying real voiceovers, man, that is huge. That's a huge undertaking to try to do that. Sound files are so large that you would just probably be shocked to see how much space and data that would require to have actual voice files. I'm not saying it wouldn't be dope, but that is a humongous undertaking. So we'll see what happens. But that is what I have for what I believe are the 6 major selling points for WWE 2K. There's one I'm holding out. I need to get a little bit more confident before I put it out as a prediction of mine. But all 6 things that I just put out there right now, I'm trying to tell you, I am telling you that it will, that is my prediction, that those things will be in the game. So we will see. All right, let's move on. And we're still talking WWE 2K. We're going to talk about fixing the car slot issue. So we see a lot of people, for anybody that doesn't know what car is, create a wrestler. We see a lot of people talking about creator wrestlers and wanting more slots. I'm going to tell you something. Creating wrestlers and creating characters in a sports game is some of the most addictive things you can do if you like creating, like if that's your thing, right? You like creating players and teams and environments and wrestlers and characters and all of that. If you like that, I'm telling you, it is some of the most addictive stuff you can do. I remember we went to a WWE 2K event. I can't remember which year it was, but we were at the Performance Center, and they had terminals for the game set up in the rings all around. Everybody's walking around. I'm talking about Cesaro's there, Bray Wyatt's there. I mean, Babatunde, he might have just gotten there. I didn't know who he was at the time. It was a bunch of people there, right? And all of these people are here. All these people are walking around. Lars Sullivan's there, right? All these people are walking around. But they had these terminals set up, and I'm literally sitting there creating wrestler after wrestler. And they're like, don't you want to see the gameplay? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get to it. But I am just creating wrestler after wrestler. I'm doing the randomizer. I'm doing all of that because it is truly addictive. Like, if you like creating wrestlers and arenas and stuff, it's something that, and if you are a car creator, you totally know what I'm talking about, right? So the whole car slot thing is a big deal. And I have a suggestion. And I actually passed the suggestion on to someone at 2K, but I don't know if I don't know if it's something that could be done this year. I don't know if it'll be done at all. But if you kept the car limit at 150 wrestlers, right, which is a lot, But if you create wrestlers, you know you can go through that 150. You call yourself creating one era or one of your own promotions, you can go through that 150 pretty fast. But if you keep it at 150, you could have it still almost function like it was an unlimited amount of creative wrestlers if when you head into a match, you can essentially download a wrestler or wrestlers for a match right there on the spot, right? So when you go into your match and you're about to start your match, you can click, you can go through all of your selections to pick whoever it is you want to pick, or you can click on like a plus symbol that allows you, it'll say something like download a wrestler. So it literally routes you right to community creations where you can download a wrestler right then that you're going to put in this particular match. It doesn't take up a slot for you, but it allows you to use a creator wrestler from the community. Maybe it's one that you created and you just uploaded because you ran out of slots. But this is a way that will expand beyond whatever the slot limit is. So even if they do go up to 200, like Mama Waldy Black is saying, even if they do go up to 200, you're still going to be a point where, okay, I wish I had 201. I wish I had 202. This is essentially giving you almost like unlimited creator wrestler slots, because I got these 150 or 200 or whatever it is that I have saved. But every time I go into a match, I'm allowed to access the community creations and I can pull a wrestler directly from there. I think that is the way. Now, here's what I'll say. I don't know if doing what I'm talking about is essentially creating more of a technical difficulty than simply adding more slots. I don't know. But if it isn't, to me, is so if there is an issue where we can't go any higher or too much higher with slots because something else would be, impacted. To me, I think that this would kind of solve that. Seth Benson, you said, I love making alternate attires. You know what? I got a point about that I want to say. I think that's dope too. I think it's fantastic. I love looking at the people in the WWE 2K community after a pay-per-view or after Raw. Somebody debuts a new attire, and I'm telling you, within 3 to 4 hours, that bad boy is up, and it looks like 2K made it. It is insane. The WWE 2K community, creation community, is insane. Just insane. Great, right? Thank you, Elijah. I appreciate you, sir. But I don't think that these alternate attire versions of these wrestlers in 2K should be counting as a slot or should be counting as a whole extra, because 2K will tell you sometimes. 2K will be like, yeah, we got 170 wrestlers, and then you get to counting them, right? And in there, they got 7 Undertakers, 5 Triple H's, and the only thing different is his hair, instead of stopping here, it stops here. Man, that's Triple H, man. That's Triple H with a haircut, or that's Triple H if he let himself go. Come on, man. That's not a whole nother wrestler. Turn that into an alternate attire, and don't tell me that that's a whole additional person. So let me go to The Rock, and then I'll scroll through all the different versions that you have of him. Let me go to Triple H, and I'll scroll through all the different versions of him. It shouldn't be any different than an alternate attire, in my opinion. I don't think they should continue to do that. I think that kind of sucks. So hopefully they stop that. All right. So now let's shift gears from WWE 2K. We're going to talk about this AEW, man. These people ain't playing no games. They ain't playing no games at all. At all out, they went all out. They got CM Punk coming back for his first match in I don't know how long. You debut Adam Cole, Daniel Bryan, Ruby. So I mean, come man, this was the first time. I'm gonna be 100% honest with y'all. Last night was the first time that I sat back and went, this AEW game, and it was not about the quality of the game. So, because I know better than that, right? You can have the most dynamic roster in the world, but if your game don't play worth nothing, it sucks. It doesn't matter, right? And it ain't gonna. It doesn't matter. But I'm thinking about from a business standpoint and from a sales standpoint. If you are holding up the AEW box, the screen, the you know, the cover art, and you got CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, Cody Rhodes, and you like, here it is, and the Big Show in the back, man, now I don't know how long it's going to take them to come up with this game. I don't. And things can happen. Things can go wrong, right? Things can go wrong. Like a lot of people feel like the game is going to be fantastic because Kenny Omega's a gamer. He grew up playing the Nintendo game, wrestling games, and so it's going to work out. That sounds good, but it might not. Sting, Darby Allin, oh my goodness, right? But it might not work out from a gameplay standpoint. I hope it does, because AEW making a wrestling game might be the closest thing we're going to get to seeing a Rockstar wrestling game. Because see, AEW is not going to have, I don't believe that Tony is going to be over the brand of the game, and over the brand overall, like Vince is going to be. You know, I don't think he is. I don't think it's going to be a whole bunch of, oh, you don't put that in, don't put that in. You know, Vince has been in business a long time. He's had a lot of success. He made a ton of money. And when you are that way and you're older, I'm going to tell you the hardest thing in the world to do, and I say this to people all the time, the hardest thing in the world to do is to get a rich old man to change his mind. Because for first of all, he's already rich, and it ain't much you can do to him. It's not a lot of reason for him to think whatever you're thinking, because he's already rich. He's already made a lot of money. He's already old. So he's already up there. And the chances that you're going to say anything different than something that he's already heard and didn't already change his mind about are very slim. Okay. So that's one of the biggest reasons why, you know, that game is what it is, and it functions the way it is, and it's the way WWE functions the way it functions. Even though I do have a little theory about the WWE thing that I might share with y'all. We'll see what the time looks like. But I'm telling you, I'm interested, man. And I've always been interested in the AEW game. So it's never that I wasn't interested, but we just haven't seen a lot. We saw the little Darby Allin gameplay that lasted a few seconds. They had a trailer that they put out that I didn't even think was very good at all, if I'm really being honest. The Kenny Omega Chris Jericho trailer that came out some months and months ago, I didn't like it. I was like, I wouldn't have shown that. Like I didn't think it was a good trailer. The Darby Allin trailer, the gameplay trailer, was better. It looked fun. I looked at it and it felt like, I know that might be actually fun to play. It felt like it was somewhere of a mixture between WWE 2K Battlegrounds and WWE 2K, but also with a mixture of the old school games. So I liked what I saw. But that first trailer, I was like, yeah, no, I don't know who voted show that, because that one, they really had, to me at that point, I felt like they needed to really punch us in the face with something that made us go, whoa, and that didn't do that at all. That just settled into here's another little wrestling game that they're gonna make. And so the last one was definitely better, but I still think they need some more. They need to do some more. Also, we can't forget about the wrestling code. They have some really hardcore wrestling folks working over there. But for me, with the wrestling code, I'm watching it and I'm trying to see what's going on. Viking Size Gamer is a really cool dude. Me and him have talked. He's been in my stream a couple of times. Me and him have talked multiple times on Twitter. And so I'm interested in seeing what that looks like. But man, we haven't really seen anything from that game except for some character models and some people holding up contracts. And then I know that Viking Size Gamer is a consultant on the on their GM mode, or the equivalent of that. But I don't know exactly everything that's going on, and I just don't think we've seen enough yet to get truly excited. So I have no idea how far out that game is. And I'm gonna tell you something. I definitely, I would not want to pour salt on any game, because it would never be my hope that a game doesn't come out. But they really need to get going with this game and get some real momentum, because once WWE 2K comes out, it's going to take a lot of people there with them, because the whole being mad at WWE 2K for spending over 2 years being gone, some of that's going to dissipate. And then once the AEW game comes out, that's going to do a whole nother thing. So then you got to ask yourself how much more of the market is still available. Then you got people who swear by fire pro wrestling. And so they really need to get going with the wrestling code. They really do need to really get it out here, do some stuff with it. But as far as AEW as a brand, I am going to commit. I am watching for it. I'm gonna give them. I started watching it first. I was really into it, and I'm gonna be honest. Some of the stuff that kind of turned me off was it felt like they were doing extreme violence or extreme certain kinds of just things just to show that they were different from WWE. And I'm like, okay, this seems real contrived at this point. Now, wrestling is contrived in itself. It's wrestling to a degree, right? But there's a line that you kind of go, and it's difficult for me to define what that line looks like, but I know it when I see it, and I know it when I feel it. And so early on, in the midst of having some really dope matches, I thought they had some stuff where I was like, okay, that's just a lot. Like, he did 20 more flips than he needed to do. Or I remember one of the matches, it was like I don't know what the exact name of the stipulation was, but essentially it was like a hardcore, anything goes match between John Moxley, I almost said Dean Ambrose, John Moxley and Kenny Omega. And they were just doing stuff. And to me, they didn't set the feud up. They didn't explain why they were supposedly hating each other. There was not even anything from, New Japan that would have led us to think that they should hate each other this much. There was no story built at all. They were just like, we're in the middle of the ring. He got a bat. I got a brick, and it's a piece of glass on the ground, and I'm going to try to cut him with it. I mean, it was like, okay, but usually if there's a match of this magnitude with this much whatever, they usually build it. I felt like there was like no build. They were just trying to show we'll have a more violent match than WWE will allow. And I was just kind of like, what's that? So now, though, I'm starting to change it up a little bit. Jericho's amazing. Jericho is one of the greatest who has ever been a part of this industry. There is nobody, I don't think, in the world who is better at putting himself over, reinventing himself over and over again, and then also putting over other talent. If you want somebody to be put over, have them walk out 2 times with Jericho, whether he's on their side or against them. When he's done, they will be over. I mean, the way he put over Jake Yeager, and I don't think Jake really took advantage of it after that, because he can only carry it so far. But the way he introduced him, Jericho's a beast. He's an absolute beast. But I'm going to watch now. I'm going to go back to watching. I had put it down. And because Raw had been so bad, I just wasn't really consuming a lot of wrestling, period. But I'm going to go back. I've been paying enough attention. I know what's going on, but I haven't watched. So I'm going to go back, and who knows? We'll see, man. It might light a serious fire even more for this game too. So we're going to see. We're going to see. All right, let's move on. We're almost done. We're going to go into talking about some Madden. Campus Legends. I want to get a good gauge of what you guys are saying. Anybody who's played it, tell me what you think about this mode. Did you think it would have you played it? So if anybody doesn't know, they introduced a college football mode where it's in Superstar KO, and you play like with alumni teams. So Dre Johnson, you said you played it. What are you thinking? What do you think of it? And anybody else who's played it, I really want to know what you think of it. I'm gonna kind of tell you what I think. I understand why they did it. I think it was done to kind of whet the appetite of people because they are they're going to bring back college football, of course, right? But Cal Golden said, what a disappointment. They're going to bring it back. Travell said he played it twice. And so I think this is just what they're trying to do to kind of tease it. I don't think it was the right tease, right? A lot of sizzle, no steak. I really could not have, honestly, Red Fire, that actually is the perfect. That's exactly what I feel. What you just said right there, that's exactly what I feel. That this right here, y'all, is exactly what I feel. And he got Seth Rollins. That is a really crazy Seth Rollins. That's actually kind of scary, Red Fire. I'm quite frightened right at this moment. I am. But that is exactly what I think. I think that it was really dope to see college football uniforms rendered on screen, next gen. We haven't seen college football unless we saw the mods that the college football revamped. Those guys did a stupid good job with their Madden mod. But that's what I think. That was the value of it for me, or that was a draw, the initial draw. But once you get into it, you're like, it don't feel like college football. There's no actual investment into it at all. Like there's no mode that feels like college. You're literally just playing Madden with college teams. And so there's just no substance to it. So what I felt like what would have been better if they would have made something like a mini college season, right? Where you have, so I understand maybe you don't have all of those licensed teams in there or whatever yet, right? But you made a mode where you had the same universities that alumni university that you have now. And then maybe you had some other generic colleges and you played like a 4 or 5 game season. And then you went into your national championship playoffs or whatever. And all of those different things would pop in. That would have been great, right? Or then you have some kind of online tournament setup where you're playing with these different, the different, that would have been better. This, what it is now, is just exactly what Red Fire said, is a lot of sizzle, no steak. And I don't know that they really accomplished what their goal was, right? So we'll see if anything else is expanding off of it, but that's kind of what I feel like. It was a live service fail for them. But that leads me to my last topic of the day. Madden 22 is a live service. The concept itself. Thumbs up or thumbs down. I'm going to tell you, while I did not dig the Campus Legends, what I do like is the concept of Madden bringing out meaningful content after the original game drops. That's what I'm excited about. So we're waiting on the scouting thing to drop for franchise mode. That's supposed to be this month. So we're waiting on that. We had an entire mode come out in terms of the Superstar KO Campus Legends, which, like we already said that we didn't necessarily like that, but that came out. And now there's something supposed to be today that they teased with Ray Lewis saying he's coming back. I don't know, maybe somebody else thought, saw that. But there's something that might be coming out today. I don't know how big or what it'll be, but I saw a social media thing for that. So I like this regular content dropping that is not all about Ultimate Team. Like, I'm not trying to say I'm not hating on Ultimate Team. I understand what it is. I understand why people like it. It is what it is. But throughout their game, hitting other modes, having content drop throughout the release cycle that's dope. That's strong. And quite honestly, no other game is really doing that. Not even the show is really doing that. Show has excellent content drops for Diamond Dynasty. Just beautiful. Just fantastic. If I don't go to sleep when I get off this stream, I'm gonna play some of the show because it's just dope, right? But they don't really have content drops that affects anything but Diamond Dynasty. So that's, like I was hoping that they would add, this is probably something they should have had from the beginning, but I was hoping they would add the ability to have night games with the stadium creator with the show, but that didn't happen. And at this point, we're talking about September. They working on MLB The Show 22 at this point. So I don't know. Marcus Moore says maybe it's a new hit stick animation with Ray Lewis. I don't know. I doubt they'll be doing that. The NFL was really clear about certain types of animations they didn't want in terms of with collisions in Madden. So if you notice that the tackles got softer over the past 5 to 7 years, that's because the whole NFL with the concussion stuff, this is how they reacted to it. They really literally mandated that the hits get softer. That's a fact. That's not a speculation. That's a fact. So if you notice that tackling overall just got milder in Madden, that's why. They didn't want anything looking like somebody was concussed. So the whole ambulance come on the field like it used to back in the day, you will never see that in Madden again. Ambulance came on the field. Oh my God, is he concussed? Oh my Lord, is he concussed? Oh my God, I think they've concussed Priest Holmes. So you ain't gonna see that no more. That is not gonna happen. So that's all I got. I'm gonna ask you guys. I'll stick around for maybe 10 minutes and see if you guys have any questions. You can fire them away, and if I'll do my best to answer them if I can. Dre Johnson said, "Is that why tackling is bad this year?" No, I think tackling just bad sometimes in Madden. Anyway, I don't think it's as bad as it has been. I think it's better this year, but tackling it's one of the problems in Madden. Like, I actually don't hate the Madden this year. Mine hasn't been crashing though, so that's one of the biggest reasons. Thank you, Ron Buckets. I appreciate you. I hadn't worn my Falcons hat in a minute, so since I had a red shirt on, I said I'd go for a hat. I got to lose some weight though, y'all. I'm gonna try to tell y'all right now. I might have told y'all this before, but I think I might be the only person in the world that when I gain weight, my hats get tight. I ain't lying. This hat got my head in a full court press right now, and I'm about to commit a turnover at any moment. I'm gonna tell you, as soon as this stream is off, I'm gonna take this hat off, and it's gonna be like, it's serious. And this happens when I gain a little weight. I gain it, and I gain it in weird places, right? So I gain it in like my waist and my legs, and a little gut though. But I gain it here in my cranium. So I think, and the back of my head started looking like a pack of Eckrich smoked sausages. And I don't like it. I don't really like it at all. But this how you know your wife love you, because you get a whole package of pork on the back of your head, and she just rub the back of your head, and she just said it's okay, no problem with the pork on the head, no problem with the pork on your head. So, but I'm gonna get it off. I dropped it before, but yeah, y'all can't see how tight this hat is. As a matter of fact, I can't see myself because of how tight this hat is. So. Action Jackson says he wished that Charles Barkley and Reggie Miller would be in 2K. That ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. I'm telling you, we getting to the point where it almost don't even matter no more, because there's a bunch of young people who ain't never even seen Charles Barkley. They know Charles Barkley from being the fat man on TNT. That's what they know him of. They have no idea that he was one of the greatest power forwards to ever live, or they heard about him, but having him in the game doesn't mean as much to them as it means to people who actually was alive to watch him play. So, It just kind of is. And for Reggie, it's almost getting the same kind of way, you know. So I don't know. Dre Johnson said, "Do you think WWE 2K introduced matches like War Games, Ambulance, Inferno, and other gimmick matches?" I think War Games is a strong possibility. I don't know about Ambulance match. Inferno match was kind of whack anyway. They kind of had something similar to it, but I also would expect something like some sort of creative match as well. What's going on, Moot? Appreciate you, man. Rasheed Wallace is not in. I think Rasheed Wallace might have a good chance to be back in the game. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with that. So, but yeah, man, it's an exciting time. Football season is starting. The Bulls look good. So this is another reason why I was so busy today, right? The Bulls signed Stanley Johnson and Alizé Johnson. Johnson and Johnson. They still in talks with Moderna and Pfizer, but they got Johnson and Johnson. They got Johnson and Johnson though. So, and see the thing about Johnson and Johnson, all they need is one shot to score. Pfizer and Moderna, they need 2 shots to score. So it just, it's just kind of how it is. But I'm happy with the Bulls roster. I am. I really am. We're gonna see what happens. I like Alizé quite a bit. My man knows exactly what to do. Today he tweeted he's ready to go with a clip of Dennis Rodman. I'm like, that's what you want? That's what you want. So that's the role you saying you're going to accept. Because we love that you're going to accept that role, because that second unit absolutely needs somebody who's going to play like that and accept that role. So could be great. Could be great. Action Jackson says, any new legends you want to see in NBA 2K22? New legends. I mean, obviously I want to see Barkley. And so I don't take that what I said that I don't want Barkley and Reggie Miller. Yeah, I absolutely want Barkley and Reggie Miller. But, Rasheed Wallace, I definitely want in the game. I believe they put Ginobili back in the game. So that was that. Did they take somebody out? Because sometimes people fall in and out of 2K. Like they was in there one year, something happened, and they're not in there no more. So, you know what I do want? I want a young Jason Kidd. They never have like a young Jason Kidd. So that one, I think a young Jason Kidd would be great. A young Kenny Anderson would be great. A young Derek Coleman would be great. At prime Drazen, so clearly I want that Nets team. A prime Drazen Petrovic would be great. Trying to think of who's missing. Who's never been in the game. You want to talk about old time, that what Wes Unseld needs to be in the game. You want to talk about old time in terms of people might not. I think they had Connie Hawkins in at one point, but they didn't have Connie Hawkins in as fire as he needs to be. And you know who else they didn't have? You know what would be dope? ABA players, like players whose prime happened in the ABA. That would be dope. Like they got Artis Gilmore in the game, but if you really know basketball, Artis Gilmore was in his prime when he was with the Kentucky Colonels in the ABA. So that was Super John Williamson. Yes, Action Jackson, you're right. Walt Bellamy was in the game 1 year, or did I create him? No, he was in the game at one point, but it wasn't a very good one. They need to redo some faces too, because George McGinnis looked like he came out from under somebody's bed in an abandoned house. Like, I mean, that render is terrible. I'm trying to tell you, that's the one that ain't got no nostrils. I just don't understand how he made it through quality assurance with no nostrils. Like I just don't know, when they made the head for him, nobody did. You know how on an assembly line and everything's going past, and you have to somebody has to pick it up and check and make sure that all the screws is in there. And then when George McGinnis's face rolled by, and the man saw that there wasn't no nostrils, and they said put it through, and put the sticker on the back and said approve. How is he approving? He ain't got no nostrils. Bernard King in the game. Marvin Barnes is not. I don't know if Marvin Barnes will be in there. You got to be real hardcore Action Jackson to be talking about some Marvin Barnes. I'm telling you, some hardcore basketball people don't know who Marvin Barnes is. That's like, yeah, no. That's like telling somebody Wayne Cooper need to be in there. He was one of the best shot blockers. I know that, and you probably know that, Action Jackson, but I don't know. Anthony Mason definitely. One thing that to remember is when a player dies, the license changes, and having it changes because they have to have an agreement with the estate. And so sometimes that'll create a delay, and maybe it'll be a year or two before the person gets back into the game. So it's been a little while now, though, for Mason. So I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, I would definitely like to see him in the game. Braun Artest, Meta World Peace. I don't know if they got a I don't think he's in there at all. So yeah, there's a couple people, man, that I can think of that, could be in there. Orlando Woolridge going back on you. That would be nice. Honestly, having a modder sit down and make the best versions of some of these older players would be really dope too. Razor did a really good job. He basically took everybody that he made for my roster and made it for 2K. But yeah, Andrew Bynum for sure. No, Big Randall, I'm not a Falcons fan. I just like hats and I like matching my clothes sometimes. So yeah, that's all. I don't hate the Falcons. At one point in time I was a Falcons fan, but I can't really say I was a Falcons fan. I was a Deion Sanders fan, and then I was a Mike Vick fan. So it's like this. The only teams that I'm like a fan of are Chicago teams. When I root for other teams, it's because of a specific player on that team that I like. So I was a humongous Mike Vick fan, so I rooted for the Falcons then. I was a humongous Deion Sanders fan, so I rooted for the Falcons then. When those people weren't there, it was, I love Julio Jones, but he's not there anymore. So, Andre Rison, but that was that. But all right, I'm gonna let you guys go. I worked very long, very, very long today, very hard. And I am thankful and blessed that I got through it. I had some tough moments today, but doggone it, I made it. And I'm thankful. So I appreciate everybody who came through. Love you like a play cousin. God bless you and peace.